Good afternoon to all. I hope your Sunday went well. Today we have been gathered here for a very interesting session on fingerprint classification by Mrs. Pallavi Malik, a very special speaker from State Forensic Science Laboratory, Mohali. As we all believe that a teacher can only explain very good theoretically, while an expert can explain very good practically. But we are lucky that our speaker has both qualities. She has served as an assistant professor for 5 years, and right now she is a professional, forensic professional in DNA at Forensic Science Laboratory, Mohali. So without wasting much time, I would like to hand over the session to you, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. I hope you're doing well. And today I would be discussing Henry's classification system and its extension with you. The way the fingerprints are stored, the way the fingerprints are classified, the way the fingerprints are recorded, and the way the fingerprints are retrieved. All of it is depending on the classification system which was devised by Henry along with two Bengali scientists, Azizul Haq and Hemchand. And the first thing that they devised was the primary system of classification. So what are we dealing with here? We are dealing with something called patterns, or the pattern areas that are there. We have arches, tented arches, loops which can be radial or ulnar, the direction for which differs for both the hands. The direction of ulnar loop in the left hand will become the direction of the radial loop in the right hand, and vice versa. We have whorls which can be of 4 different types: plain whorl or simple whorl. We have a central pocket whorl where we have retracing ridges here, recurving ridges here. We have double loop patterns or twin loop patterns, which are actually 2 different loops having recurvature of the ridges in 2 different directions, but they are placed under the category of whorl and they have the valued pattern category. And there is accidental whorl, which is not defined under a proper whorl characteristic, but it is placed under the valued pattern. So if we take the left hand and the right hand, Henry's 10-digit classification system considers all the 10 fingers that are there on our hand, and it begins from the right hand. So we have RT, which is right thumb, RI, which is the right index, RM, which is the right middle finger, right ring finger, and right little finger. These are considered first. Always remember, in any classification regarding the fingerprints, the right hand patterns or the right hand values are always considered first, and they are always placed above the classification line, except for the primary classification, which has a different category for the numerator and denominators. Then we have the left thumb, left index, left middle, left ring, and left little fingers. The 10-digit classification system is divided into 7 different systems. The first is the primary classification, then secondary classification, sub-secondary classification, which has 2 types. One is the numerical system and one is the alphabetical system. The major classification, final classification, and key classification. So let's deal with the primary classification first. What happens in primary classification is you are dividing the patterns into 2 categories. One is the numerical or the valued patterns, and the second is the non-numerical or the non-valued patterns. So whenever we have whorl or composites present in any finger, that pattern is given the value of 1. That is, which means that it is having a valued pattern number, which is 1. And if any finger is having a pattern which is anything except the whorls and the composites, that is, it is having arch, tented arch, ulnar loop, radial loop, then they are non-valued or non-numerical patterns and they have a value of 0. If the pattern identified comes under the numerical pattern value, then the value assigned is 1, and otherwise the value will be considered as 0. So there is something called odd and even in primary classification system, based on which you place the values above the classification line and below the classification line, that is in the numerator and in the denominator. So each finger is arranged in a checkerboard, as you can see on the screen, starting from the right hand thumb or the RT and numbered starting from 1. So this 1 has nothing to do with the whirl value 1 which we have assigned to the valued patterns. So we can see that RT is given 1 position, RI has 2nd position, RM has 3rd position, RR has 4th position, and so on and so forth. So we have a value of 1 to 10 assigned to all the 10 fingers that are present in our hands. So you can see here that values of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 are odd numbers which are not divided by 2, and values of 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10 are even numbers or which are divided by 2. So what happens next is each of these fingers are given a particular number value. So on the first position the RT is given 16, RI is given 16, RM is given the number 8, RR is given the number 8, RL is given the number 4, LT is given the number 4, LI is given the number 2, LM is given the number 2, LR and LL are given number 1. So what are we seeing here? We are seeing here that there are 2 fingers falling each into the 16, 8, 4, 2 and 1 number, and in this way what happens is all the even numbers have 16, 8, 4, 2, 1 set, and all the odd numbers have 16, 8, 4, 2, 1 set. So each of these have 1 and 1 number of each the values that are assigned to all the fingers. What happens next is we have a checkerboard, and in the checkerboard we are writing the value, or we are writing the alphabet W in the checkerboard square which finger has the valued pattern. Then we draw a horizontal line which is called the classification line, and we multiply the number assigned to the finger, that is 16, 8, 4, 2 or 1. We multiply that value with 1. If the whirl is present in the numerator, if the whirl is present in the odd number, it is placed in the denominator, and if the whirl is present in the even number, it is placed in the numerator or above the classification line. So suppose we have whirls in the right thumb, we have a whirl in the right middle, and we have whirl in the right ring finger. So right thumb is the position 1 and right middle is in the position 3. So both of them are in the odd position. Right thumb has the value of 6 and right middle has the value of 16, sorry, right thumb has the value of 16 and right middle has the value of 8, and the right ring finger also has the value of 8, but right ring finger is having the position of even number, 4th position. So what will happen here is we will multiply 16 by 1, place it in the numerator, we will add 8 into 1 of the right middle finger and place it in the denominator. Both of them are in the odd and we will place it in the denominator, and the right ring finger is which is in the even position, that will be placed in the numerator. So we will have 8 into 1 in the numerator and 16 into 1 plus 8 into 1 in the denominator. After these values are placed in the numerator and denominators according to their odd even positions, we add a 1 to both the numerators and denominators, so that if there is a pattern or if there is a person who doesn't have any whirl in its 10 digits, then he will be having a number of 0 by 0. and there is a sub-secondary classification where we put in IMO classification. So this 0 will get confused with the O which is present in the later stages of classification patterns. So in order to avoid this confusion, we add 1 to both the numerators and denominators, and then we derive or come to a Henry's classification number, which is the primary classification number. Remember, even if you are getting something like 8 by 16, you do not divide these by the common factor, because this is not a fraction. This is just a value placed above the classification line and below the classification line. So do not ever divide the numerator by the denominator or vice versa and write 8 by 16 as 1 by 4. 8 by 16 is 8 by 16. It is not a fraction. So let's take another example. For example, we have a print of an individual who has ball on the right thumb, right little, and the left thumb. So the checkerboard would look something like this. We have a W on the right thumb, we have a W on the right little, and we have a W on the left thumb. So this is an odd position, this is an odd position, but this is an even position. So what will be the Henry's classification primary number? We will have 16 into 0 plus 8 into 0 plus 4 into 1 plus 2 into 0 plus 1 into 0. And in the denominator, we will be placing the odd values, which is right thumb and right little. So we will have something like 4 plus 1, because we are adding plus 1 to both the numerators and denominators, and we will be having 16 plus 4 plus 1, which comes down to 5 by 21. So we will be having the primary classification number as 5 by 21 of an individual who has ball patterns or value patterns on right thumb, right in little, and left thumb. So what comes after primary classification? Primary classification, we have secondary classification, and to study secondary classification and sub-secondary classification, we need to know the alphabetical annotations that we are giving to each the patterns that are there. So for a plain arch, we use capital A. For a tented arch, we use a capital T. For a radial loop, we use R. For ulnar, we use U. Plain wall has W, composites have C, double loops have S, and X is assigned to accidental loops. LP is lateral pocket, CP is central pocket loops, T is twin loops, I is inner tracing or inner ridge count, O is outer tracing or outer ridge counts, and M is meeting or middle ridge tracing or ridge count. What is happening in secondary classification? Secondary classification is considering the patterns which is appearing on the index finger of both the right and the left hand. So this is only the index fingers that is being considered. What happens is, it consists of the capital letter symbols of the patterns of the two index fingers. What here we are assigning? The right index finger symbol should always come in the numerator or above the classification line, and the pattern on the left index finger should always fall below the classification line. So we have patterns which are on the right index finger above the classification line, and patterns on the left index finger below the classification line. Also, there are situations when the same kind of pattern will be repeated in index middle ring of both the hands. So what do? We place the pattern symbols in capitals for the index finger, and we place the adjacent or consecutive patterns in small alphabets, such as if we have index finger is having a ulnar loop, so we put a capital U, and it is also followed by two more ulnar loops in the middle finger and the ring finger. So what do we write? We write capital U followed by two U, small u, because a capital index ulnar loop is also being followed by two more ulnar loops in the consecutive patterns. Or for example, if we have a tented arch on the index finger, we also have a tented arch in the remaining 4 fingers or 3 fingers following the index finger, we write T capital followed by a 3 T in small, which is assigning or which is denoting that the consecutive fingers are also having the similar patterns. But since secondary classification is focusing on the patterns of the index finger, so we are not writing those patterns in capitals for the purpose of highlighting. Okay. Next is the subsecondary classification. The subsecondary classification is applicable for whirl and loop patterns. It does not consider arches or tented arches, and we are using the terms IMO, which can be inner, middle and outer patterns or outer types of patterns in the index finger, middle finger and the ring finger of both the right hands and the left hands. Remember again, the patterns of the right hand would always be on the numerator and the patterns of the left hand will always be in the denominator of the classification line. In case of loops, we are performing ridge counting, and in case of whirls, we are performing the ridge tracing. What happens is, in case of the loop patterns, index, middle and ring fingers are denoted by IMR, and in case of whirls, we are denoting it with I, M and O. It is following 2 different methods for classification. One is the lettered group method and the second method is ridge counting and tracing method. Here we have a loop, and as you know, this is the delta and this is the core. How do we perform the ridge count in case of a loop? We draw a straight line connecting this with the core, and then what do? We leave the delta and the core ridge and we count the total ridges that intersect the straight line which we have drawn from the delta to the core, and that number is written as the ridge count of that particular loop. In case of whirls, we are considering the left whirl in case of different hands and right whirl in case of different hands. So for that you have to study in detail the rules of ridge tracing. I won't be discussing it now because that's a vast topic. What do? We start from the left delta and we start tracing towards the right delta. If there is a sudden stop of the ridge, then we drop down to the next ridge. If there is a bifurcation, then we follow the lower arm of the bifurcating fork and we continue until we reach the nearest point of the right delta. So if this is the ridge which is ending near the right delta of this plane whirl, what do? We count the ridges that is following outside the delta or inside the delta. So here we have 1, 2 and 3 ridges outside the right delta. So if we have 3 or more ridges outside the right delta in case of a whirl, we call it an outer pattern or an outer tracing. If we have 1 or 2 ridges or we have a meeting ridge near the delta, we call it meeting or middle pattern. If we have this ridge goes inside the delta and there are 3 or more ridges recurving into the right delta starting from the left delta, we call it an inner pattern. So this is what we are considering in case of subsecondary, and we call it IMO or inner, middle, outer classification system, and it is considering the index, middle and ring finger of all the 3 or both the right hand and the left hand. In case of loops, what are we doing? We are considering inner for index finger to be or ridge count between a value of 1 to 5. So if a loop has a ridge count between 1 to 5, it will be an I pattern. If it has a ridge count of 6 to 12, it will be an M pattern. If it has a ridge count of 13 and above, it will be an O pattern. For the middle finger, the same changes. For I from 1 to 6, for M it goes from 7 to 13, and for O it goes from 14 and above. For the ring finger, the ridge count is 1 to 7, for middle it is 8 to 14, and for outer it is 15 and above. The formula is IMR for the right hand by IMR for the left hand. So considering if for an example, if we have a right hand ridge count for index, middle and ring finger to be 4, 9 and 14, and that for the left hand it is 8, 18 and 3, then we will be having a subsecondary classification formula of IMM and MOI. The second type of subsecondary classification is the lettered form, where we are referring to the patterns that are present on all these 3 fingers that we are talking about, except obviously for the index finger, because index finger is already being considered in secondary classification. For so for a subsecondary classification system, we will be using only the middle and the ring finger. In this case, for loops we have invaded and crested denoted as K, Newton ulnar loop is denoted as N, plain ulnar loop is denoted as U, whirl is small w, C is small central pocket, double loops are small s, and accidentals are small x. So different organizations are following different systems. So Scotland Yard follows a particular system, FBI follows a particular system, somebody is considering the IMO system for the subsecondary level, somebody is following this lettered format for the subsecondary classification. So because of the clutter of so many fingerprints, with the increase of offenses and databases in the country, which is having millions of population, they devised their own easy way out for the purpose of recording and for the purpose of easy retrieval of the databases that were available for them, right? After the subsecondary, we have major classification, which deals with the patterns of loop and whirl present on the thumbs of the right and the left hand. The value of the right thumb is taken in the numerator, of course, and the value of the left hand is taken in the denominator. In case of the presence of loop, to perform the ridge counting, the number of ridges cut by an arbitrary line joining core and delta are counted, and hence are denoted by IMO types, where the I type denotes the number of ridges up to 12, M is denoting the number of ridges between 13 and 19, and O type is denoting the number of ridge counts between 20 and more. Remember, this M classification or major classification, they go below, they go before the primary classification number. So there is a sequence of writing the classification formula, which is key, then major, then primary, then secondary, then subsecondary, and then we have the final classification dealing with the little finger. So irrespective of the fact that these were devised later, a few of them go before the primary classification number, right? So the major is going before the primary classification number of Henry's classification. So next we have the final classification system. The final classification system is considering the ridge count of loop and whirl patterns on the little finger. The right little finger is taken in the case of the numerator, and the left is taken in the denominator. The ridges of a whirl are to be counted from the left delta to the right core in case of the right little finger, and from the right delta to the left core in case of the left little finger. So as I told you earlier, the delta consideration for the purpose of ridge tracing and ridge counting changes with the change in the hand to which that particular print belongs, right? So in case of the double loop patterns, the ridges are to be counted between the left delta and the core of the ascending loop for right little finger, and between the right delta and the core of the ascending loop for the left little finger, right? So always keep in mind that although you have a particular rule for counting ridges and tracing ridges, with the change in the fingers and with the change in the classification system, there are few changes in the delta considerations for the purpose of ridge count and ridge tracing. Last is the key classification. What is key? Key is the ridge count of the first loop that is encountered while classifying a 10-digit classification system. So suppose there is a fingerprint pattern which is having arches in the first 4 fingers, whorls in the next 3 fingers, and it has the first loop in the left index finger, so which is the 9th finger of the classification system. So we will count the ridges for this loop which is present in the left ring finger, and then we will write that ridge count before the major classification number, which is again placed before the primary classification system. And for different organizations like Scotland Yard and even in India, if we are following the NCIC or APHIS system of classification, we also have the need to record the type of loop that is present by denoting the alphabetical representations as per the subsecondary classification system. So we have K and U for 3 different types of loops. So if you're writing the ridge count in the key, you also mention in the small alphabet what kind of the loop was present in the first loop pattern that you had encountered in that classification system. So for a final look of the classification chart that we derive for any fingerprint obtained, first will be the key, which is the number of the ridge count of first loop of the pattern, the major classification, the primary classification number, the secondary classification, sub-secondary classification, and final classification. So this is the sequence: key, major, primary, secondary, sub-secondary, and final. So all the classifications all over the world, they follow the same basic pattern with a few local changes or local modifications, and that is retrievable and acceptable by all countries in the world. So if we have an international offender who has his prints left in America, suppose, and we get a print of him, or he has committed a crime and we catch hold of him in our country and we take his prints. So there is a system where we will be recording his prints, we will be converting him into a digital format, we will be placing that print as per the APHIS system of classification, and we will be circulating the databases into the concerned countries so that they can match these prints with their databases of criminals. So if there is no if there is no common way or common method of classifying a particular fingerprint, then it would be very difficult for the countries to look into their databases and identify whether the print is there or not, because if our country classifies it into a different category, they will be putting it in a they will be deriving in, at a number which will be completely different from the original classification number that America would have stored that print with. So it is indispensable and it is very necessary to follow a standardized, internationally accepted pattern of classification with minor additions or alterations which you can add into your fingerprint registering slip as an additional component. But the basic component and structure of recording, saving and storing your fingerprint as per the classification system should remain the same. I hope I have been able to make this topic clear.